I recently put out a video on the Springfield Hellcat, which is my primary carry pistol. This is my other carry pistol, the Ruger LCP Max. When I want to carry something even smaller and lighter than my Hellcat, or my clothing won't allow me to conceal the Hellcat adequately, this is the pistol I carry. This is, of course, chambered in 380 ACP. It is what I consider the minimum viable cartridge for self-defense. Ammo is spendy, about 1.5 times the cost of 9mm, but generally readily available, and there are many bullet and loading options to choose from. This gun has been out for a while, and there are tons of videos on the specs and features, so I'm not going to get into any of that. I feel it has established itself as a great pocket pistol. What I have not seen is a video showing the ways this platform can be improved and the aftermarket support available for it. So that is what I will cover in this video. I will go over trigger and recoil system improvements, as well as some of the gear I have for carrying the pistol. This gun comes with a pocket holster. It's fine, but it's really not grippy enough on the outside here. So when the pistol is drawn from my pocket, a lot of times the holster comes with it, and it needs discarded before firing. I will likely try one of the sticky brand holsters, as they have a better material on the outside that is more grippy. They tend to stay in your pocket a little bit better. But in general, I do not carry in a pocket holster and opt for a Kydex IWB holster and carry either appendix or strong side 4 o'clock. For that, I got this little holster. The brand is CYA, and I found it on Amazon for 35 bucks. It has adjustable retention and cant of the belt clip, and it securely clips onto the trigger guard of the pistol here at the front. Here's a quick size comparison of my two carry guns in their respective IWB Kydex holsters, and there's a really, pretty serious size difference here, obviously, between the two. Here's the LCP Max. It's fully loaded, 1 in the chamber, 10 rounds in the magazine, in its IWB holster. 16.3 ounces total. And here is the Hellcat as I would carry it, 11 round magazine, 1 in the chamber with its holster, and of course the optic. 27.25 ounces, so there is over a 10 ounce difference between these two setups as I carry them. Gun only comes with one 10-round magazine, which is lame. Included with it is this little pinky extension base plate that you can swap out. I also bought a few of these 12-round extended magazines. They come in 2 packs and they're overpriced. This is a heavy-duty takedown pin from MCARBO. So apparently some of the factory takedown pins had heads, the head of them shearing off right here on this and older LCP models. This is a more robust design and material. It's a nice peace of mind for only $10. You can see that the factory one here has a really thin head on it, and also sharp edges where it changes diameter, which of course is where stress concentrations happen. So this has a thicker head and nice radii where it changes diameter to mitigate those stress concentrations. For the recoil system, I got the stainless steel guide rod, also from MCARBO. It's nicer material and finish than the factory one. It will be more robust, and it's also only 10 bucks. This is machine stainless steel. I can tell this is either cast or MIM, metal injection molded, and you can see it's already getting gouge marks in it where the recoil springs are rubbing, so this will be a lot better. In addition to the guide rod, I got an extra power outer recoil spring from Galloway Precision. This outer spring increases the effective spring rate of these 2 nested recoil springs to 13 pounds total from the 9 pounds total of the factory nested recoil spring weight. Now, I have decent grip strength, so increasing the force it takes to rack the slide doesn't bother me. It may matter to some, but I would argue that the size of this pistol, chambered in 380 ACP, and the force required to rack the slide with a factory recoil spring is not well suited to those with grip strength issues in the first place. So with this higher effective spring rate, more recoil force will go into compressing these springs and less will transfer into your hand as the slide hits the frame at the rear of its travel, and the slide speed will also decrease, which should result in less felt recoil. I took some slow motion videos of before and after the recoil spring installation for comparison's sake, and both clips you're about to see are using the same PMC 90 grain FMJ ammo. I feel like you can see the difference in recoil impulse between the two springs in the video clips. The Galloway spring causes the slide to cycle noticeably slower. The difference in feel when shooting with the Galloway spring is very noticeable. There's a lot less snap to the recoil. It makes it much more comfortable to shoot, and it doesn't increase the force needed to rack the slide that much. One concern I had with the heavier recoil spring was that limp wristing it would cause malfunctions, which is common on little guns like this. I shot it multiple times with a compromised grip and could not induce malfunctions. This is very important to me because it is unlikely in a high-stress self-defense situation that you will have time to build the optimal grip on the pistol. So the trigger on this gun is fine. It's got light and pretty long take up, nice defined wall, a bit of pretty heavy stiff creep, and then a crisp break. The reset is long and audible, but not very tactile. The trigger shoe and safety dingus profile are pretty comfortable. I don't think I'm going to change the trigger out, although Galloway Precision and MCARBO both offer aftermarket triggers. The trigger weight on this sample is 5.5 to 6.5 pounds, kind of depending on where I put my trigger pull gauge on the trigger shoe. This is a partially pre-cocked internal hammer fire design, meaning that as the trigger is pulled past the wall, the creep right here is actually cocking the hammer a little bit more and then letting it go. So here, this is the hammer, and you can see it coming back and then letting go. This trigger is easy to shoot well with some practice. It's really not bad, but of course it could be better. This is the trigger spring kit from MCARBO. Galloway Precision also offers a spring kit. This one costs $30 and comes with 2 hammer springs, a 10-pound and a 12-pound, and a trigger return spring right there, and a firing pin spring, and then also a little 3D printed installation tool to help with the firing pin spring install. I will install both these springs and check the trigger weights, but the information on this spring kit claims that you'll either get about a 4.5 pound with the lower weight spring or a 5 3/4 pound with the heavier weight spring. They have a great video on their site detailing the installation procedure, so I'm not going to go over that. So I got this thing all torn down for the trigger spring install. This is the firing pin spring, which of course goes in the slide, and the one that comes with the kit is already installed in there, but it's reduced power, because if you are reducing the power of your main spring, you are reducing the force with which the hammer is going to hit the firing pin, so you need a reduced power spring to make sure you don't get light primer strikes. I don't know how I feel about that in this case, because this gun does not have a firing pin safety block. It's kind of neat to note that this is the serialized part of the firearm. This is the fire control unit. It comes out of the frame. It just goes down like that and then in, and then a pin retains it in the front. Installation of this trigger spring kit is really pretty straightforward. I'm going to install also this reduced power trigger spring. I'm guessing I won't like it, because with the reduced power trigger springs comes a reduction in positivity of the reset, and the reset on this is, oh Jesus, is already a bit vague. So anyways, also don't pull the trigger and shoot parts everywhere. I just replaced the factory trigger return spring with the reduced power one that comes with the spring kit, and kind of like I suspected, it's too light for my liking. The reset is not nearly as positive as I would like. Okay, so I have the factory trigger return spring back in there. I have the heavier of the two hammer springs in there, the 12-pound one, which has the blue tip on it. Depending on where I pulled the factory trigger, it was 5.5 to 6.5 pounds. So now we're 4 1/4 down there, and we'll see what it looks like kind of more up here towards the center of the trigger, where before it was 6.5. And we're 5 3/4. Now I have the 10-pound, the lighter of the two main springs that come with the kit, and this one is red here on the tip, as you can see. Yep, 3.5. It's too light for this kind of gun, in my opinion. Let's see, let's pull it up here more towards the middle of the trigger. And around 5. So I'm going to go ahead and put the heavier of the two hammer springs back in, the 12-pound one, the blue tipped one. In conclusion, I found the Galloway Precision Extra Power recoil spring helps mitigate a little of the snappiness in the recoil while not sacrificing reliability, and it's also still not that hard to rack the slide. I was not able to induce a malfunction with limp wristing the gun on purpose. The heavier of the two hammer springs that comes with the MCARBO kit lowered the trigger weight about 1 pound, while the lighter spring lowered the trigger weight about 2 pounds. I went with the heavier of the two springs in the gun because a 3.5 pound trigger pull in a gun like this is too light in my opinion. I also opted to keep the factory trigger return spring, as the reduced power one that comes in the kit made the reset feel mushy, and the factory reset wasn't great to begin with. Overall, the trigger's a bit better now, and it's definitely easier to shoot. This stainless recoil rod and this heavy-duty takedown pin are some nice cheap upgrades that give a little peace of mind when it comes to robustness and reliability. Now, this is a snappy little gun, but it's quite shootable. I really wouldn't recommend this for anyone with compromised grip strength, nor would I recommend it for a novice shooter. I ended up putting the pinky extension on the 10-round magazine, and that really helped me control the gun. Now it pretty much has the same amount of room for my little finger as the 12-round magazines. I have about 300 rounds through this over 2 range trips without a malfunction, and 150 rounds in a single range trip is quite a bit through this little thing and a bit hard on my hands. In terms of weight, concealability, and capacity while maintaining decent ballistic performance with a 380 ACP round, I feel like this pistol can't be beat for pocket carry or concealed carry. Hope this video was helpful to some people, and thanks for watching.